All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling just one chapter of the Bible, Isaiah 40.
Just one.
Yep, you heard that right, Isaiah 40. Now,
Ambitious.
it might not sound like much, but believe me, this chapter is packed. It's overflowing with these incredible images and messages of comfort and renewal.
It's true. You could spend a lifetime unpacking everything in this chapter.
No kidding. It's a text that speaks to resilience and hope.
And longing.
Oh yeah, for sure, longing to.
A search for something greater.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is how relatable it still is, even thousands of years later.
It really is like a microcosm of the human experience.
Totally. So, get this, it kicks off with this incredibly soothing message.
Comforting, yeah.
Right, comforting, directed at Jerusalem.
Really sets the tone.
It does. It's like, hey, you've been through a lot, but things are going to get better.
Comfort ye, my people.
Yeah, exactly. Isaiah 40.1, it's repeated right at the beginning.
It emphasizes the compassion.
Doesn't it? It's like a divine hug.
And then there's this idea in Isaiah 40.2 about receiving double for past sins.
More than just forgiveness.
It is. It's like being made whole again. Okay, but then the scene changes. We're suddenly in the wilderness, and there's this voice.
Crying out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prepare the way for the Lord. It's powerful.
It is very much a call to action.
So not just sitting around waiting for things to happen.
Nope, got to get to work, prepare for change, for something new.
And they use this metaphor in Isaiah 40.3 about preparing a highway.
I love that image.
Me too.
Right.
What do you think it means? Like building a highway for God. What obstacles would you be clearing?
That's a good question.
Like, where do you even start?
Well, I think it works on a couple of levels. Literally preparing, sure, but also,
Internally.
yeah, like a road full of rocks and debris impassable.
Makes sense.
But clear those obstacles.
The way becomes clear.
Exactly. So yeah, clearing out the debris in our hearts and minds.
I like that. So we're talking bad habits, negative thoughts, that kind of stuff. Could be. This is where personal growth comes in, I think.
I see it. And then this whole idea of transformation just keeps going in the next few verses. Isaiah 40.4 talks about valleys being raised.
Mountains made low, right?
Yes. Crooked paths made straight.
Like a massive makeover.
It is. Makes me think, what mountains do we need to level in our own lives?
That's a great question for everyone listening.
It is. What needs to be smoothed out to make way for something new? But then Isaiah 40 takes this turn. It goes from this epic transformation scene to something completely different. It contrasts the fleeting nature of humanity with the enduring nature of God's word.
A bit of a shift in tone, for sure.
You're talking about all flesh is grass, right? Isaiah 40.6.
That's the one.
It's kind of humbling.
It is.
Makes you feel small, you know? Like
Yeah.
all our achievements and worries, like wildflowers blooming and then fading.
Actually blossoms.
But then Isaiah 40.8, the word of our God shall stand forever.
What a contrast.
Right. It makes you think, if everything around us is temporary, then what really matters?
It's a big question.
It is a really big one. What can we hold on to in the face of that? Is that what Isaiah is getting at here?
I think so. He's pushing us to think about what has lasting value.
Makes sense. And then it feels like we start to get a glimpse of where that lasting value might be. We go from talking about how fleeting life is to this display of God's strength and power.
A powerful shift.
Totally. Like in Isaiah 40.10, where it talks about God's arm ruling with strength.
Yeah.
That's an image of pure power.
Authority.
Right. But then in the very next verse, Isaiah 40.11, we get this completely different picture.
Softer.
Yeah. God is a shepherd gently gathering his lambs. It's almost like whiplash.
Interesting, isn't it?
It is. You have this all-powerful being who's also incredibly tender and caring.
Seems like a paradox.
It does. But maybe it also means we don't have to be afraid of that power.
Could be. Like a parent.
Oh, yeah.
Strong and protective, but gentle.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. And then to really make sure we understand the vastness of God's power, Isaiah throws out these mind-blowing questions in verses 12-14.
I love those verses.
Me too. Like, who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand?
Who has weighed the mountains in the scales?
Yeah. And who can direct the Spirit of the Lord? It's like God saying, can you even comprehend the scale of what I've created?
A little humbling.
More than a little? It makes your head spin. And the answer, of course, is no way.
We can't even come close.
Not even. And then, just to make us feel even smaller, he compares entire nations.
To a drop in a bucket.
That's Isaiah 40.15. I mean, talk about putting things in perspective.
It's a radical shift in how we view things.
It is. And then he goes on to say that even Lebanon, with all its massive cedar forests,
Not enough for an offering.
not even close. That's Isaiah 40.16. So if our biggest, grandest gestures are meaningless compared to God,
What does that say about us trying to control the divine?
it's like trying to buy a skyscraper with a handful of pennies. It just doesn't work. Maybe that's what leads us to the critique of idols, which comes up right after this.
It's as if he's setting us up, isn't it? Showing us how futile it is to try to grasp the divine through size and grandeur, and then, bam, he tackles idols head on.
So now we're in Isaiah 40:19-20, and people are busy making these idols out of gold and silver.
Trying to impress, I guess.
You'd think so, right? But Isaiah's basically saying, are you kidding me? He's pointing out how ridiculous it is.
Seeking permanence in things that will eventually decay.
It's true, like trying to build a house on sand,
Might look impressive at first.
but eventually the foundation crumbles.
Exactly. But then Isaiah does something amazing. He shifts our whole perspective. We go from focusing on these tiny human attempts to control the divine to this panoramic view of God sitting above the earth.
Isaiah 40:22, that's such a powerful image.
It is. And he compares us to grasshoppers. Talk about a reality check.
Like he's saying, look at the bigger picture. Your worries, your idols, they're insignificant compared to this.
Definitely puts things into perspective
For sure. It reminds me of that feeling you get when you look up at the night sky.
and realize how vast the universe is.
Yes. You feel incredibly small, but also connected to something much bigger than yourself. But here's a question. Does our modern understanding of the Earth and the universe,
Make this imagery less powerful.
that's what I'm wondering, or does it actually make it even more powerful?
That's a really good question.
Mm.
On the one hand, we know the earth isn't literally a circle with God sitting above it.
Right, we have science now.
Exactly. But our scientific knowledge has also shown us just how small we are in the grand scheme of things.
That's true.
So maybe that makes Isaiah's point even more resonant today.
I think you're right. Even though we've mapped the stars and sent probes to other planets, the universe is still a mystery.
A beautiful mystery.
It is. And amidst all that vastness, we're still these tiny, fragile beings trying to make sense of it all. Which brings us back to that need for comfort and reassurance that Isaiah started with.
Full circle.
Right. We've gone from feeling small and insignificant to being reminded that we're part of something much larger.
Cared for by a force beyond our comprehension.
It's quite a journey for just one chapter.
It is. And it all leads up to one of the most famous verses in Isaiah 40.31.
You mean, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles.
That's the one. Such powerful words.
They are, but what does it mean to wait upon the Lord? It's not just about sitting around, is it?
Not at all. It's about actively cultivating a relationship with the divine, seeking guidance, and drawing strength from that connection.
So trust and surrender, but also aligning our actions with our faith.
Exactly. It's about making a conscious choice to put our faith in something bigger than ourselves.
And when we do that, Isaiah tells us we'll be able to overcome challenges, to soar above adversity.
Like we're given these metaphorical wings.
I love that image. But let's be real, life can be tough.
It can.
So how does this ancient wisdom actually apply to our lives today? I mean, we're facing challenges that Isaiah could never have imagined.
You're right. The world is different.
It is.
But the human experience, that hasn't really changed that much. We still long for connection, for meaning, for purpose.
And we still face challenges, setbacks, losses.
And we need strength to help us through those tough times. So you're saying that even though the world is different, the core message of Isaiah 40 is still relevant.
Absolutely. Think about it. We live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with information, demands, expectations. It's easy to feel overwhelmed,
Burned out.
disconnected. But Isaiah offers us a way out of that. He reminds us that there's a source of strength that doesn't depend on external circumstances,
A strength that comes from within.
from cultivating a relationship with something larger than ourselves.
He's giving us a roadmap for navigating modern life.
Instead of being swept away by the chaos,
We can find our center
our grounding.
in something enduring and unchanging,
You beautifully put. And it's a message we all need to hear.
especially now. So what's one thing you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive into Isaiah 40?
That's a good one. I hope they feel a sense of hope and possibility, that they're inspired to cultivate their own relationship with the divine, to tap into that strength and resilience that's available to all of us, and to find comfort in knowing that even amidst the vastness of the universe, they are known and cared for.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thought. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Isaiah 40.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been amazing. And to our listeners, we encourage you to check out Isaiah 40 on your own and see what speaks to you. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and Keep diving deep.
See you next time.
Uh,
It's almost as if Isaiah is setting us up here, isn't it?
how so?
First, he shows us that our attempts to grasp the divine through size and grandeur, it's futile.
Right, like those offerings.
Exactly. Then bam, he goes straight to the issue of idols.
So we're in Isaiah 40.1 ton 20.
Oh, sorry.
People are crafting these idols out of gold and silver.
You'd think that'd be impressive.
Right, but Isaiah's basically pointing out how absurd it all is.
He's saying, look, you're seeking permanence in things that are going to rust and decay,
It's so true. We pour so much energy into things that are temporary.
when real permanence is somewhere else entirely.
It's like building a house on sand.
Impressive at first, maybe.
Right, but then foundation crumbles.
Exactly. But then Isaiah does this incredible thing. He takes us from these small, human attempts to control the divine.
And zooms out.
Yes. He gives us this view of God sitting above the earth.
Isaiah 40.22.
That's the one. And to really drive the point home, he compares us to what?
Grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers. It's like this cosmic reality check.
Like he's saying, step back and look at the bigger picture. Your worries, your idols, so insignificant.
Totally. It's like that feeling when you look up at the night sky.
You realize how vast the universe is.
Yes. You feel tiny, but also connected to something so much greater. But here's a question. Our modern understanding of the earth and universe, does it make this imagery from Isaiah?
Less powerful.
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh.
Or does it actually enhance it?
That's a fascinating question. On the one hand, we know the Earth isn't literally a circle with God sitting above it.
Right, we have science.
But our scientific knowledge has also shown us how small we really are.
So maybe Isaiah's point is even more relevant today.
I see that. It's like even though we've mapped the stars and sent probes to other planets, the universe is still this huge mystery.
And we're still these tiny beings trying to figure it all out.
Which brings us back to that need for comfort and reassurance that Isaiah started with.
It's all connected.
It is. We started out feeling small and insignificant, but now we're reminded that we're part of something much bigger.
Cared for by a force we can't even comprehend.
It's a pretty wild ride for one chapter.
It is. And it culminates in one of the most famous verses in Isaiah 40.31.
Oh, you mean, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles.
That's the one. Powerful words.
They are, but what does it really mean to wait upon the Lord? We talked about this a bit earlier, but I feel like we need to dig a little deeper.
It's not about being passive, that's for sure.
So it's not about just sitting around.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's about actively cultivating that relationship with the divine, seeking guidance, finding strength in that connection.
And then aligning our actions with what we believe.
Exactly. It's a conscious choice to put our faith in something bigger than ourselves.
And the reward. We overcome challenges, we soar above adversity.
We're given those metaphorical wings.
Okay, but real talk life can be tough.
It can be.
So how does this ancient wisdom apply to what we're facing today? We deal with things that Isaiah could never have imagined.
True. But the core of the human experience that hasn't changed much. We still long for connection, for meaning, for purpose.
And we still face those challenges.
Setbacks, losses, the whole deal.
And we need that strength to get through those times.
We do. And that's where Isaiah's message is so powerful, even today. Think about it. Our world is constantly bombarding us with information, demands, expectations. It's overwhelming.
Exhausting.
It is. But Isaiah is offering us something different. He's reminding us that there's a source of strength that's not dependent on our circumstances.
A strength that comes from inside.
From that relationship with something bigger than ourselves.
He's like giving us a roadmap for how to navigate modern life.
Instead of getting lost in the chaos.
We find our center, our grounding.
In something that's lasting, unchanging.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Isaiah 40, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
That's a good question. I hope they feel a sense of hope, of possibility, that they're inspired to cultivate their own relationship with the divine, to tap into that strength and resilience.
Available to all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that they find comfort knowing that even in this vast universe, they are known and cared for. It really is a powerful thought.
It is, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not just these random specks floating around in the universe.
There's a purpose
It's a sense of belonging.
woven into everything.
It all comes back to that image of God as a shepherd, doesn't it?
It does.
A shepherd knows each of his sheep.
Cares for each one individually.
Exactly. It's not just a faceless mass to him.
Not at all.
So maybe it's not about us trying to understand the whole universe.
Maybe it's about something simpler.
Yeah, like focusing on that individual connection, that sense of being known and cared for.
I think that's a really beautiful way to put it.
And it brings us back to that promise in Isaiah 40.31.
About renewed strength.
Yes. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. We've talked about this verse, but now I feel like it has this whole new layer of meaning.
I agree.
So let's break it down. What does it actually mean to wait upon the Lord? It's not about being passive, right?
No, not at all.
It's about actively cultivating that relationship.
With the divine.
Yes, seeking guidance, finding strength.
And aligning our actions with our faith.
So it's about believing, but it's also about doing.
Putting faith into action.
And Isaiah is telling us that when we do that, when we really lean into that relationship, we're able to tap into this incredible strength.
A strength that helps us overcome anything.
We rise above our challenges.
We find resilience in those tough times.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Life can be so overwhelming sometimes.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah. So how does this ancient wisdom actually help us today? We're dealing with stuff that Isaiah could have never even imagined.
That's true. The world's a different place.
It is. So much has changed.
But the core human experience, that hasn't really changed all that much. We still long for connection, for meaning, for a purpose, and we still face challenges, setbacks, those losses.
We do, and we need strength